This is your 28storms.com tropical weather update for Monday, August 8th. Both the Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic are quiet with no highlighted areas in the Hurricane Center tropical weather outlooks, although we will still be keeping an eye on the tropical wave to the south of the Cape Verde Islands the most. It was declared 92L Invest yesterday, but it has since become a little bit less impressive, and the tropical models are no longer being run on that particular system. And there is that tropical wave on the surface chart, but that's really the only game in town right now. There is a very weak tropical wave approaching 50 degrees west along with another one to the south of Hispaniola, but neither one of those two tropical waves are going to develop. In fact, it's very difficult to even find that tropical wave to the south of the Dominican Republic on the visible satellite imagery. And we do see some convection here along the Florida Gulf Coast, but that's not tropical related. It's more diurnal convection that's fairly common for this time of the year. There's a tropical wave over between 45 and 50 degrees west, but convection is really lacking. And if we look at the water vapor imagery, the upper level environment is very unfavorable. There's a lot of dry air surrounding the system, and the tropical wave just looks simply pretty weak. And if we turn out into the central Atlantic, we can begin to see what was formerly 92L Invest coming into view along the eastern side of your frame here. You can see the very distinct low-level circulation beginning to work its way into our spectrum, and there's still a lot of dry air coming in from the north. That's why you see these clouds coming in like this. Now the intertropical convergence zone still has a little bit more convection, but it's drawn out from east to west, and it's going to be really difficult for this tropical wave to get its act together as long as it's got this very dry pocket of air coming down from the north right now. And once again, if we go back to that water vapor imagery, it doesn't look too promising for things to change in the immediate future. And I don't really expect any development for at least the next 72 hours, although there is one model out there that is still trying to show some tropical cyclone formation as this tropical wave gets a little bit closer to the Lesser Antilles, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But just really quickly, I want to prove to you that the dry air is the main problem, not any type of vertical wind shear. We're looking at the SIMS wind shear analysis, and the tropical wave in question is approaching 30 degrees west and 10 degrees north latitude. And as you can see, the upper level environment is fairly good with wind shear generally less than 10 to 15 knots. And also if we change sources and look at the upper level pattern, we see that there is a fairly distinct pocket of mid to upper level ridging here over much of the central Atlantic. So if this storm can rid itself of all that dry air coming in from the north, then it would have a better chance of trying to get its act together. The 12Z CMC model does not show any development in the central or eastern Atlantic, but instead it continues to show just a fairly active wave train coming across with a couple different pockets of vorticity maxes here, but nothing that overly stands out just yet. But what is clear is that the 12Z GFS is still fairly aggressive with 92L. It doesn't show much in the way of development over the first 72 hours, but as it continues to work its way toward the west here, as we get closer to the day 7 time frame, it is beginning to show a tropical storm in 168 hours just to the east-northeast of Barbados. This is the sea level pressure and precipitation view of the GFS forecast, and there's 92L with the very weak 1011 millibar surface low, but as we go into time, once again, it doesn't show much in the way of tropical development initially, and you have to go all the way into the medium range before it even begins to show any type of organization. But here we are into early Monday morning, and we have a developing tropical depression or tropical storm nearing the eastern Caribbean. And as we work our way into overnight, Monday night, and into the Tuesday morning time frame, it's beginning to enter the eastern Caribbean. And then this is really getting really far out there. We're talking about a 2-week forecast, so don't expect this to verify, but it does take our system into the western Caribbean as a tropical cyclone. Fortunately, the GFS doesn't have any other model support for that type of solution just yet. We're now looking at the 12Z ECMWF. This is the Eastern Caribbean, or excuse me, the Eastern Atlantic, and this is the general location of 92L Invest. Of course, it's widely disorganized, and we're going to go into day 1, 2, 3. We can still make out the remnants of the tropical wave here, but it's certainly not getting its act together. And as we go into days 4, 5, and 6, we still don't really see much of anything out there in the central or eastern Atlantic, and the entire basin is fairly quiet if we look at it from a broad view. So there are still no major concerns in the tropics as of this afternoon. The main focus will be on the tropical wave to the south of the Cape Verde Islands, but it is still at least several days away from showing any signs of development, and interests in the Lesser Antilles are advised to keep an eye on things, but they would even have a little bit longer than that to keep an eye on the system as it's still at least about a week away. So overall, we're looking fairly good out there, and we'll stay on top of things as always here at 28storms.com. Please check back again tomorrow afternoon for another video update. Thank you and have a nice day.